March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and there is an alarming trend when it comes to the third most common cancer diagnosed in the U.S. It's being spotted in younger patients, but medical experts say the disease doesn't have to be a death sentence if it's caught early. And here in Tampa Bay, we are the lucky ones, one of only 6 places in the nation where people have access to innovative technology that catches hundreds of different cancers and heart disease in their earliest stages. People fly in from around the country to access this kind of preventative scan. Joining me now to talk about how Lifeguard Imaging is helping to save lives across Tampa Bay is Lifeguard Imaging's Director of Operations, Frankie Maldonado. Frankie, it is so great to see you.
It's great to see you, Gail.
So I actually, before Lifeguard Imaging even came to Tampa Bay, I had a colonoscopy, but man, I wish you guys were here because you have a way of doing it that is so much less invasive.
You're right, and I've had a traditional colonoscopy as well. It's a necessary procedure. Colon cancer is the #2 cancer killer in America. It's a bad one. They've now moved the first colonoscopy from 50 to 45. There's discussions about moving it to 40 because younger people are contracting and dying from it because they're not getting the exam. But it's a dangerous procedure, truth be told. You know, people have developed septic shock from the tearing of the walls or puncturing of the walls and have passed from the procedure. That doesn't mean you forego the examination because it is too deadly a cancer. But to your point, the virtual colonoscopy, which I had done about 5 months ago, my wife had done about 1.5 years ago, is night and day compared to the traditional. So I'm not sure when you're up for your next one, but that might be a future episode. The experience is night and day, Gail.
Yeah, it's very easy. You're not put under anesthesia.
No.
You know, you don't have to take time off work. I mean, you're going in for the typical scan. And let's talk about the incredibly advanced technology that Lifeguard Imaging uses, not just for the colon, exam, but for the entire body.
Correct. And to your point about the virtual colonoscopy, there is a minimal prep compared to the traditional prep. The invasiveness is minimal. There's a 2.5-inch insertion as opposed to about 6 feet worth of tubing that can go through your colon. There's no anesthesia, so that danger is removed from the equation. But one of the most remarkable things about our virtual colonoscopy is we actually see not only the entire and total interior wall of the colon, but we see the exterior. We create a 3-dimensional view of the colon and see the entire inside and outside wall, which unfortunately the traditional colonoscopy cannot do. And it's a great examination, but this one has a little bit more visibility. The full body, of course, is just a remarkable scan, and we always tell the patients about that. It's important to understand we're not just looking for heart disease, but hundreds and hundreds of forms of cancer, from the most deadly in terms of lives lost, lung, to what took tragically our heroes, our dads, pancreatic cancer. We've captured both of those and everything in between. And to think you can get that done in a 5-minute scan through a donut as opposed to an MRI tube is remarkable.
Yeah, it really is. And we tell people, hey, call Lifeguard Imaging, mention Gail and Bloom, and get a free heart scan, which is no strings attached. But the good news after that is you could just sit down with a representative and talk about the full body scan, which is something that my husband and I both do, because you mentioned my dad died of pancreatic cancer. My mom was a breast cancer survivor. I want to stay on top of what's going on, not just with my heart, but with my entire body. Now, is the virtual colonoscopy included as part of that? How does that work?
It's a great question. That is actually a totally separate scan.
Okay.
So when a patient comes in and gets their full body scan, if they choose to get a virtual colonoscopy scan, we'll generally set that up about 6 to 8 weeks later, giving them time to prepare and go from one scan to the next. But it's a totally a separate scan, and the visibility, as I said, is really, really something compared to the traditional. And thankfully, to this point at least, we haven't heard any real bad stories like we found the cancers in people's bodies for the full body scan. But I know that we're going to be able to see some things that people wouldn't even know were there. But of course, it takes the first step of coming in. As you said, we'll have them come in for the free heart scan. We'll give them information about anything else they want to know, and if we can help them, we will.
And as you said earlier, I mean, colon cancer statistically is showing up way more in younger people. They don't know if it's their diets or what's going on with the processed foods that many people eat, but it's something to be alerted to early on in life.
There's no doubt, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the preservatives in foods. I mean, maybe what we're breathing in the air. My wife and I actually just started to implement the Mediterranean diet to try to eat more healthy, to try to eliminate some of the butters and those fatty foods. But you got to take every step you can get. And more importantly, if we can be an advocate for you as your own advocate, this is what we have in our backyard, and we're providing it for anybody who wants it.
That's great that we have it. Thank you so much, Frankie.
Of course, thank you.
Call today, right now, 813-582-5222, or visit lifeguardimaging.com. You'll receive a Bloom special offer, a free heart scan when you mention Gail or Bloom. That's a $599 value, so call today, 813-582-5222 for this special offer. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Lifeguard Imaging.